Well, I just got back from taking Sue to the bus station so she can go to San Francisco and then board a plane and go visit her daughter in Wisconsin. This is probably about the third or fourth time she's left me alone in the rig, which you see in the background there, and visited either the family or went back for, celebrations, either sad or happy celebrations. Or Sue has Invisalign braces and she's been working on that with her dentist, and that's been working out pretty good. This is actually one of the things that you have to get used to as a full-time RV person, is that you can go to the doctor and different clinics and have things done along the way if you can do your research and you feel comfortable with somebody. But sometimes, like Sue's braces, is kind of a regimen that has to be started and stopped by one particular place. So you better budget for airfare going back and forth. And I guess the sting is taken out of it because Sue really needs to visit her daughter. She loves her daughter loves her. I, on the other hand, am the typical hard-nosed guy, and I see my wonderful sons, Alex and Nick, when I roll into town, which is about once a year. One of the fun, loving things I discovered on this last trip was how truly concerned Sue was for me being okay while she's gone. And, not in an overbearing way, in a really loving way, where she was concerned about, what I would eat and how I would cook and what time I would go to bed, and, if I'd be certain to get some exercise and all different things, and one of the reasons we stayed in this campground rather than moving to the exposition center over in Santa Rosa, California, which looked a little Spartan, and it was really a parking lot. And so I told her, I said, no, I want to stay at this one so that I can walk around and have some nature here to keep me entertained. So you might ask yourself, Mark, do you look forward to these times when Sue leaves for a week? And the answer would be yes. Now, that's not because I don't love her, because she's as good as I've ever had it in my life, and I'm going to keep it that way. But I know she's coming back. She knows she's coming back. We know we have each other. So it's just kind of a little fun change of pace for me to work on things and get things done. And, I still try to eat good, but, I modify it a little bit more, have a little bit less water and a lot more coffee. And I'm sure she gets to visit her girlfriends and do a lot more girl talk and then just talking about, diesel pushers to me. So when I was driving back from dropping Sue off at the bus station, and by the way, we decided on the bus station because I am absolutely terrible at using the Garmin and figuring out where I am. I don't even remember which RV park it was, but one time Sue left to go back home, and about a day or two later I had to go somewhere. And I jump in a car and I fire up the Garmin, and I kind of look at the Garmin and it tells me which way to go, and I literally got lost inside the RV park. Now this RV park was X and Y, so it should have been pretty easy to get out. But I got lost and had to back up, and then I had to regroup, and it's at that point I knew I've got a problem here. Sue and I are somewhat familiar with the mess of San Francisco freeways that converge into the area of the airport, and decided it was probably a good bet not to have me anywhere near that, because although with her help and the Garmin I could get her there, we weren't quite sure if I was ever going to make it back. Sue cooked up a good plan to take a bus from Petaluma, California, and take it into San Francisco. It was about 10 minutes away, and with Garmin and maps and the apps on my cell phone, I was home tops 2.5 hours. So I was really happy with that, so I could get back to working on the old Dutch Star. I've decided to put together a little video of what my adventure was this week and how I accomplished things and how they compare to what Sue's expectations were. And let's have some fun with it and see how it turns out. It's the first day here. I don't know how it's going to turn out. I'm going to start taking shots along the way and we'll put it all together, and I hope I'm not too embarrassed by the whole thing. Come on, let's have some fun. So when I got back to the rig, I had a nice little surprise. It was a card from Sue. Opened it up, nice little saying inside, and you'll notice something dropped out. Well, as it turns out, those were, relatively detailed instructions on what I should be careful about and a couple things I should do and how I should take care of myself. And I kind of expected the only thing to be on any list would be to take your Metamucil. As you can see, I've got that queued up in the background, so I thought I had that all set up. Well, I spent the rest of the day studying and reviewing these instructions, and by the time I was done, I was pretty tired. So I sat down and just took a little nap and was pretty sure that after I got some rest, I would jump into gear and hit it hard. So this is a dramatization of what one could think would be how I would live when Sue is gone for 9 days, that I would be totally out of control. But I am going to prove everyone wrong and going to document how my time was while Sue was gone. So Sue was a teacher for about 23 years, so she was always cautious with her students and warned them not to do certain things. And sure enough, what do? I mistakenly am running with scissors. My wife has convinced me that anytime I take a nap, I should really have my CPAP on. So I was really proud of myself that I was prepared, and the minute I sensed myself choking, I put my CPAP on. Now I just got to work at remembering to put it on right from the get-go. Yeah. Okay, so Sue said I should take a couple of laps around the campground while she's gone, so I figured I'd put on the headband so I don't sweat too much and have it dripping into my eyes. And well, you got to have music, so I've got my iPods in and I got my iPod attached to my belt, and I'm all set to go. She said 2 laps around the campground, so I'm thinking, what the heck, I'll take the car. It's a lot easier. Let's go. I do a lot of maintenance on the rig while she's gone, and here's a prime example of me diving into something that has just been bothering me, and that is these electric chairs and these electric recliners. I had to go in and grease the mechanisms because they were slowing down and it looked like they were going to fail on me. So I don't know if any of you have noticed, but I'm not exactly at my best today. After working on this seat and crawling around under there, it's taken its toll on me. And what I try to do is I try to work on things like this when Sue isn't around, because as unbelievable as it sounds, she hasn't figured out that I'm not good looking. In fact, she says I'm handsome and fun to be with. And quite honestly, I'd like to keep it that way. So my little trick is I work on stuff like this when she's not around. I get as messy as I need to be, and then I get the job done. And anybody watching this, don't you dare write in and tell Sue that, hey, he really isn't good looking and he probably isn't fun to be with. Because you know what? I'll deny it. So I decided to do a little cooking for myself here, and I cooking some homemade chili, and I got some homemade barbecue, and have all sorts of ingredients in it. Chopped up some of the vegetables and different things and tomatoes that Sue had. But unfortunately, you can see I have a giant mess now. Sue and I have proved to be a great team, and I want to publicly say I miss her on so many levels already. I'm only like 3 days in, but One of the more obvious ones is the fact that when she cooks, I do the dishes, but when I cook, she would do the dishes. And guess what? She's not here now. So you know who's got to clean it up? Marco! That's me. So this is how the place really looks. This is day 3. I try to clean up after myself and tidy up, especially this can get out of control, the dishes there. And sometimes I have too much time in my hands, because you'll notice that the refrigerator magnets are not only organized, but the articles are alphabetized that are on there. But pretty much nothing's out of place. And hold on here a second. Okay. Alright, so you'll notice that I'm constantly watering the plants for the wife and spend very little time in these couches. So the first breakfast I made was actually pretty healthy. Bananas, strawberries, multigrain, waffles, coffee, and the maple syrup that was shown there was actually just a prop. But I really ramped it up the next day with the organic baby arugula and the rice cake. And man, I was just waiting to chow and eat.
Can't wait. Oh.
Okay, so maybe this didn't go that well, but it was an experiment. And the next day I put on egg, bacon, and cheese. And you know what? It was actually pretty good.